And we're back, another episode of Hoop Fans, our podcast about NBA basketball. I'm K Rose with my guy here.
What's up, Hoop fans? It's Matt back
Yes, sir.
again.
And yo, bro, just quick aside before we get into it. This is episode 11, I believe. Like, yo, we've hit double digits with the episodes, bro, which is kind of fire because a lot of people haven't done that before. So yeah, bro, let's get right into it, man. There's a few important things that's happened this NBA season, and we're kind of in the middle of the season right now. Just recently, a few days ago, as of this recording, the NBA trade deadline passed. And I feel as a hoop fan, this trade deadline was pretty crazy. Like it was pretty busy compared to some other seasons in recent time. Let's start with I think the biggest news of the trade deadline, I believe, I would say. James Harden to the Cleveland Cavaliers in exchange for Darius Garland, who will be playing for the Los Angeles Clippers. So they were traded in basically like a one for one trade. I believe there were some other minor trade assets that were involved in the deal, but Darius Garland for James Harden. Talk to me, bro. What are your first reactions to that trade, and how do you believe it will work out for both teams?
I think it was a little unexpected. I just personally, I didn't hear any reports that like James Harden was like getting shipped out. I knew obviously it was a possibility just because the Clippers had to do something. Whether that was you know obviously trade James Harden or one of their other maybe younger pieces. They traded Zubac as well, which is crazy. So they were cleaning house a little bit, but I think the Cavaliers definitely got better. I think that Garland's been sidelined a lot this season. They obviously needed more of a facilitating kind of pass first point guard, and I think that's kind of where James Harden's at right now in his career. Obviously, he can still score the heck out of the ball, but what that team needs is going to be playmaking ability, able to handle pressure, at that point guard position, which Garland could do, when he was healthy. But I think that they just were looking for more. They obviously saw that this maybe window was closing in the Eastern Conference with that unit, and they can probably squeeze out maybe a year, two with James Harden running the show. So I think it's now or never for Cleveland. They understood that, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about the Clippers, man. I think that they're obviously we talked about this. They're in a rebuilding stage. Um, does Garland kind of does he make a difference? You think with them? For me, I think he's going to be decent. I don't know. I don't know with them though.
Bro, a lot of great points, right? So, one of their initial points that I thought was very interesting as a hoop fan, right? We've this has become a pattern with James Harden in terms of spending a few seasons with a particular team, particular organization, and
Yeah.
then um, suddenly being traded for whatever reason, right? So that was the initial shock of the trade, right?
Right.
First of all, we last episode we just was marveling about how well the Los Angeles Clippers were playing, right? They were on, I think they were 16-4 in their last 20 games at the time of our
Mhm.
last episode. So they were on the upswing. Granted, they started the season off 6-21, so they had to play extraordinarily well to dig themselves out of that hole. But they had done so.
Mhm.
A major part of that being the play of James Harden as well as Kawhi Leonard, right?
Yeah.
So when the report started circulating that the Los Angeles Clippers and the Cleveland Cavaliers were in advanced talks for a swap between Darius Garland and James Harden, that it felt like it came out of left field, like you said,
Yeah.
right? Now, let's talk about that portion first, right? The reports are circulating and it's conflicting, right? Because you have some reports that say that James Harden wanted to be taken care of financially after this season. Basically, he wanted a commitment from the Clippers that they would pay him and that he would be able to play more seasons with them. Um, Very important to note, he's not extension eligible currently or this summer. So he wasn't eligible for an extension, but the reports were saying that after this season, uh after I believe this season, he or next season, one of those, I gotta see about that. He wanted a 2-year deal reportedly worth like 80 million, something like that, right? I read a report that he kind of wanted a commitment
Mhm.
for the Los Angeles Clippers to see it through with him. The reports say that they were unwilling, that they wanted to keep their cap space open for the summer of 2027, which means that they had basically come to an understanding that the Clippers wanted to basically move on from this core, from this group, right? And that's what led to the James Harden trade. So for me, it's like, wow,
Yeah.
all of that work to get out of the get out of that hole that you started in from to begin the season, and it's like you ship your second best player out. Now, let's talk about it basketball wise. I think it makes I think it was a great trade for both parties.
Hmm.
I think it was a great trade for both parties, right? The Clippers, you get a 26-year-old player with star potential, someone who's been an all-star before in Darius Garland, right? If you are looking to start a rebuild and you didn't believe that the current core that you had with James Harden and Kawhi Leonard was enough to get it done, what you got was a younger star back who could kind of
Hmm.
fit the timeline of younger players moving forward. Um, I think it was a great trade on that front. And then on the flip side, the Cleveland Cavaliers are trying to win right now.
Right. Their window's now.
Their window is now. They have gone all out and they're trying to win a championship this season or next season. Like their window is now. And with how things had gone with Darius Garland, while he is young and has a lot more basketball ahead of him, he's been very injury prone.
Hmm.
Currently, as we speak, he had been injured with a right toe injury, a sprained toe that's kind of been haunting him these past few seasons,
Right.
causing him to miss weeks of playing. So I say all that to say what they got in return for Darius Garland was a very durable player in James Harden, a James Harden who is very committed to trying and win a championship before the end of his career.
Hmm.
A James Harden who does a lot of similar things as Darius Garland as far as being a facilitator, point guard, a little bit bigger than Darius Garland. So he actually, even with his older age, is a better defender, in my opinion, than Darius Garland. And someone who has playoff experience that Darius Garland himself really didn't have.
True. Yeah, that's true. I mean, all facts. All
You know what
facts.
I mean? So
Yeah.
talk so in my opinion, like, do you think this obviously I believe this pushes them closer to contention. Do you believe it does the same?
I do. Yeah, I think like availability at the point guard spot was just something that Cleveland was missing. And I think, obviously now that they've dealt with that, it does put them in a great position. I would definitely I wouldn't be surprised if we saw maybe like a Detroit and Cleveland duking it out at the end.
Okay.
Um, you might be able to throw in New York in there. But I'd say those three teams, I think that they
No
definitely
Boston?
I'm still, well, we'll talk about their trade. I think
Okay.
that, yeah, actually, pencil them in as well. I like what they did for sure, but speaking of kind of centers being traded, Zubac, from the Clippers getting traded to Indiana, that was a huge shocker to me. I obviously know he wasn't playing as well as he was last year. Last year he was a fringe all-star guy, I thought, in the West. Um, didn't expect them to trade for Benedict Mathurin. I feel like they got guys on the perimeter that are similar to him. And I was just really surprised that, they would trade their starting center who's given you guys, 14, 15, 16 points a game and like 11 or 12 rebounds a night. Kind of just ship him out. So that surprised me.
Well, let's be clear. Uh, to speak to Zubac's greatness, he was second team All NBA last season for the
And
20.
I forgot that.
Yes,
Right.
bro. He
Like
made
that's
all
insane.
NBA. Now it's a little different because of the NBA 65 game threshold, right? So
Hmm.
he may have been helped in that front because certain centers probably didn't play enough games. But even with that being said, he was a second team All NBA
Yeah.
center last season.
Did that make
So,
sense to you, that move? Like, did it?
yes, because yes, bro. Because this is my thing. I'm a Laker fan. Yeah, you see the clothes that I wear, right? I'm a Laker fan, but
Mhm.
on the side, because of Kawhi Leonard being my favorite player, I root for the Clippers secretly or not secretly, right?
Mhm.
So for me, soon as you ship James Harden out and you get in return while a younger player, a still injured Darius Garland, what you're telling me as a hoop fan is, oh, y'all are giving up on this season. You have started your rebuild. So
Mhm.
to me, at that point, them trading Zubac it's not surprising because if you were looking at this season as a season where you felt that you may be able to make some noise in the playoffs, you could be a dangerous team, you get the right matchup, maybe you can make a run. Clearly, you gave that up the moment you traded James Harden for Darius
Hmm.
Garland. That's over with. And so Zubac's trade following that, what it tells me is that the Clippers they're starting their rebuild, and I'm glad you brought this up because this leads to my next point on this topic, bro. I was very disheartened to see that they did not trade Kawhi Leonard. It broke my heart.
Yeah, yeah, I know it did. I
It
was
broke my
rooting for
heart.
that trade. I was when I heard like the rumors, they were fake, obviously, but when I texted you about him potentially going to Detroit, I was like, that would be a beautiful move for Kawhi. Like if he would have went there, I'm a Pistons fan now.
Bro, I would have been
Like,
secretly. First of all, I already like the Pistons because I'm a big Cade fan, right? Like I
yeah,
like Cade Cunningham,
yeah,
and I like their team in general. I like their toughness. If
yeah.
they would have been able to facilitate a trade for Kawhi Leonard using someone like Tobias Harris or whoever else they had, bro, that would have been, like you said, perfect
Yeah.
basketball situation for Kawhi, and we would have really been looking at them to make a deep playoff run or a championship playoff run.
Hmm.
But instead, the Clippers hold on to Kawhi past the deadline. And unfortunately, you texted me last night, bro. As of this recording last night, the Los Angeles Clippers had a game against the Sacramento Kings. And at the time that you texted me, the score was, I believe, 72 to it was 73-72 Clippers over Sacramento. And you were like, yo, Kawhi, he's hooping, he's killing right now. He has like 30 in the third quarter. And I read that text as a big fan of Kawhi, and I was just sad because from this point on for the rest of the season, they're going to need 30 to 40-point games for Kawhi Leonard to even be competitive against any team in the NBA.
It's a shame. It is a shame
It's
what
a
they're doing
shame.
to a seasoned Kawhi Leonard. He doesn't deserve this.
He doesn't. No, again, I see. I can't even know if I go that far and say he doesn't deserve it because obviously he has the aspiration, allegations against him in terms of like that investigation that will start post All Star break on if he was receiving money under the table from the Los Angeles Clippers. So, unfortunately, this could be a situation where Kawhi kind of made his bed, and this is kind of like it's like a punishment from the
Mhm.
basketball gods. You're
Ooh.
having an elite season, an elite season. And in my opinion, they're a they're very likely to miss the playoffs by trading away James Harden and Zubac.
Hmm.
They're very likely. So it's going to be in vain for the rest of the season. Kawhi's going to play well, but what does it matter?
Damn, that's a great point, man. That's a great point. I want to segue because you brought it up, the Celtics. I think that was a super slept on trade, getting Vucevic, and shipping out Anthony Simons. Bro, I completely forgot about the Celtics. I mean, they've been amazing all year, without Tatum, and just kind of making do with their current roster, and everybody's been balling out. Shout out to Derek White, bro. He's having a heck of a season. Very underrated guy, averaging almost a block and a half a game as a guard, which is insane. But I think Vucevic, dude, is that missing piece because all year they've kind of had, like the center position was kind of filled by Kata, which he's a decent role center. I think great shot blocker, good rebounder. Could finish at the rim, almost like a poor man's DeAndre Ayton a little bit. And they had I think Xavier Tillman as a backup. And who else am I missing? Luka Garza. They have Luka Garza,
I
but
like Luca.
Vucevic, bro, I think is a perfectly um, I think he's a savvy fit for that center position. Obviously, he's not as big as those guys. He's about 6'9", 6'10", but can stretch the floor, can shoot it, decent post game, can facilitate a little bit, and he's going to get you probably double-digit rebounds. And I think that is what Boston needs, like an actual center who can do a little bit more, than just rebound.
Then to
Like
simply
he's
be an
he's
athlete.
yeah, and I think he moves them. I think he really does move them in a way that you gotta expect them to at least be a dark horse come playoff time to really make some noise. Um, and I forgot about them, so I really think that move. Anthony Simon is going to Chicago. They're a guard loaded team as it is right now. Um, but I think Boston won that trade, and I think that they're gonna really improve.
I'm not particularly sure what was the motivation for the Chicago Bulls in that trade. I'm not
Yeah,
particularly sure. Like you said, they're loaded with point guards at this point. You got Kobe White,
yeah.
you have Giddy, you have Anthony Simons. They did ship out what's my man Io
Ayo Dosunmu.
and I like him a lot. And he was kind
Yeah,
of pretty much a point guard, combo guard as well. I
yeah,
really liked him, and I thought that was a great move for Minnesota. Actually, a
yeah,
really good move and a
yeah,
sleeper for Minnesota.
yeah.
But on this trade, bro, I agree with you. Um, what it tells me about Boston is it was just a perfect trade for them, right? Because they actually took a lower salary
Hmm.
in Vucevic because he makes less money than Anthony Simons, number one. So they were able to get under the tax line, which is great.
Hmm.
All front offices are looking to do that. And then from a basketball standpoint, like you said, whenever I watched the Celtics this season, I always felt like they were undersized, right? When you have Peyton Pritchard at times on the floor with Anthony Simons, Jalen Brown, your shooter, what's my man?
Sam Hauser.
Sam Hauser,
Yeah, that's true.
and then you have a big of Kada. To me, they were always undersized. Now they played well despite that. They gang rebounded. They shot the heck out of the ball. Excuse me, and Derek White. I didn't name Derek White as well. So you have guards that can rebound above their position, but I always felt like they were undersized. With Vucevic, he can. He's a legitimate big. He's a veteran, former All Star. He can stretch the floor, like you said. He has a high IQ. He's like a poor man's uh like a very, very, very poor man's Kevin Love type of big, right? Where
Hmm.
he can play. I'm not the biggest fan of him defensively, but he definitely helps them. And what I would say with this trade is making a move like that is okay, you're going in on this season to try to compete. And it may even offer some more motivation for Jason Tatum to possibly return this season for them to make a
Right.
run.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So
And
I think this is a good trade for the on account of Boston Celtics.
yeah. I mean, I think he's a really big team guy too.
Yes.
You know, whatever his shortcomings were in the playoffs, he doesn't have a whole lot of experience, but he's been in the league for a long time. Has some incredible stats, very underrated. I think you sent me that thing on Instagram where he's got more points than like Kawhi. He's got more points than Klay Thompson, Jimmy Butler. He got over 10,000 rebounds. So, bro, the results are there. You know what he's going to bring you on a nightly basis. Now, he's a bit slower on the defensive end, was never like a great defensive big man. But what he does, productivity wise in the offensive end, and being able to facilitate, I think, they're really they got better for sure.
They got better.
Um,
They got better. I think it was a great move for them. And more than anything, depending on how many seasons he has left on his contract, next year is the real year after this one where you'll have Jason Tatum back and you'll really have a complete squad. So I'm not mad at that trade at all. Let's talk about another major trade, another major trade. We have the Washington Wizards,
yes,
um,
sir.
the Washington Wizards and the Dallas Mavericks. So it was a 9-player trade, but it was basically Anthony Davis. He was traded from the Dallas Mavericks to the Washington Wizards in exchange for the Mavericks got like Chris Middleton. Who else? Chris Middleton. Who else was in the trade? Let me see. Let me see.
That was a big trade. I
It,
think
it was a big
Washington
trade. It
got
was nine
D'Lo too,
players.
right?
Say that
Did
again.
Washington got D'Lo too, right?
D'Lo. I'm about to look up and I'll edit this. Give me the complete 80 Wizards trade. Let me see. Okay, so and we're back in. So yeah, so major 9-player trade involving Anthony Davis from the Dallas Mavericks going to the
Mhm.
Washington Wizards. So the Washington Wizards, they received Anthony Davis, Jaden Hardy, D'Angelo Russell, and Dante Exum. In exchange, the Dallas Mavericks received Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Malachi Branham, Marvin Bagley III, 2 first-round draft picks, and 3 second-round draft picks. Um, so it was a large trade. Obviously, the main spearhead of the trade being Anthony Davis moving to Washington. What do you think of this move on the Washington Wizards side of things?
I think Washington deserves some credit because they, you know, they made some last 2 months here. They've really turned that franchise around and just
Completely.
completely. Obviously, we still have to see, but on paper, they got some legit talent now. I think that it's a little, I guess the turn that Anthony Davis's career has taken in the last year and a half is a little unfortunate just with, him getting kind of packaged up and sent out. The injuries, keep happening. But I think this kind of, in a way, fresh start with an organization that's clearly on the up and up now. He gets to play with a point guard, a true point guard in Trae Young. They got some great young talent.
They do.
Alex Sarr, I'm high on Alex Sarr. Like I like Alex Sarr a lot.
You've been a big
Um,
Alex Sarr fan. You have been.
yeah, what's the Keontae or what's Keontae George, Keyshawn George? I
Keyshawn
like
George,
him. I like him. He's a big wing. He's putting up some great stats this year. Um, who else do they got? Bub Carrington, I think.
Bub Carrington, um, Bilal Coulibaly, who was a lot of people
He's
liked him back in the
yeah,
day. Long
yeah.
defensive wing, and they also had. I think this guy's a sleeper. Nobody probably knows about him right now, but I'm connected in terms of one of my college coaches coached him at his prep school, Will Riley. Okay,
Okay.
he's a young wing on the Wizards, and he's actually doing very well as of late in these last stretch of games where the Wizards are playing a lot of their young guys and just really looking to develop them the
Hmm.
remainder of this season. He's had like a 20-point game, 18-point game, wiry, athletic, very, very unorthodox wing, bro. Like and he can handle the ball though. Very skinny, but
Hmm.
bouncy and has good fundamentals, can pass, and it looks like his jumper is coming along. So look, be on the lookout for Will Riley.
Will
A lot of
Riley.
people don't know about him, but he's gonna be nice. Um,
Okay. Shout out Will Riley, man.
Will Riley. So again, Trae Young, but again, the big thing is Anthony Davis paired with Trae Young and Alex Sarr, as
Hmm.
well as they've already announced that Anthony Davis will not be playing the rest of the
Right.
season, right? Due to his
Yeah.
hand and groin injury. So they're gonna allow him to heal up and get his body right for next season, which
Yeah.
means they're probably not going to win too many games the remainder of the season, which means they're probably going to get a very good draft pick in this
Hmm.
upcoming draft,
Hmm.
which is supposed to be loaded with talent.
Yeah. One thing with this, I was just kind of thinking about it while you were rattling off Washington's roster. Anthony Davis has always kind of made it a big thing where he likes playing the forward position. I think this gives him a great opportunity with Sarr, who's a truly, he's a center. Alex Sarr, 7'1", I believe he is. A little lighter, but he can play the center position, blocks a lot of shots. So that allows AD, I think, to play that natural forward position that he loves. I think it's a match made. I'm not going to say in heaven, but it's a great match right now for that core nucleus. Now they kind of range in age, with Alex Sarr, Trae Young, and AD now, but I think it's a great triple threat. Honestly, I'm hoping Trae Young comes back, man. He's back to his old ways because I'm a big fan of Trae Young. I think the last couple of years he's gotten a lot of flack, just kind of the way he plays offensively and kind of baiting the defense and those weird fouls. And his shooting percentage from three has went down a lot. But I think this is a great opportunity to have like a career resurgence for AD and Trae Young.
Absolutely. I agree. I mean, listen, AD being a little bit older, right? So
Right.
he may be a little bit over the hump in his career in terms of, he's older. He's older. I think he's about 30, what, 34,
33? Yeah,
33,
30.
34,
Yeah.
7 footer. He's had a lot of games played. He's got a lot of mileage on his body. And traditionally, a lot of people say that bigs don't necessarily age the best around this time. But, if it was any point guard that you would love to see Anthony Davis paired with, Trae Young is at the top of the list, right?
Right.
Because of his passing ability, the way he's able to make his bigs better, putting him in position to succeed. That Trae Young, Anthony Davis pick and roll. Come on now, like Trae Young coming off the pick and roll, you got to respect his jump shot from range. If defenders
Hmm.
step up and the help isn't there, he's lobbing that ball up, and Anthony Davis is going to go get it, right? So
Hmm.
we have that to look forward to next season. I think it's interesting because it's been a very long time since the Washington Wizards have actually been competitive at all, right?
Hmm. Right.
We're probably saying 10, 11 years ago, Yeah, about 9 to
Close to
11.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 9 to 10
Been a
years
long time,
ago
bro.
in the Bradley Bill John Wall era, right? When
Yeah.
they made that playoff run to the second round. So it's the energy. It should be a different type of energy in Chocolate City, right? In terms
Hmm.
of keeping DC black, in terms of just basketball energy. So I'm excited for that. Quickly on their end, and then we'll go to the Dallas Mavericks. Do you think that this pushes, if they're able to stay relatively healthy next season, does this push Washington to be a playoff team next season?
100%. 100%. Yeah, no doubt in my mind. I saw AD had, put something out there. He was like, at this point in his career, he's it's all about, contending, which rightfully so. I mean, that's what all it really should be about. And I think that he believes that, I think, being a contender in the East for them, let's stick with the playoffs right now. I think that their mindset should just be entering the postseason but yeah, I think it opens up the door for sure for Washington to put themselves back on the map in terms of, getting to the postseason.
I agree. I think I mean we're looking at the Eastern Conference this season, right? So the Pistons are having a very good season, right? So obviously we can
Hmm.
probably pencil them in to be a playoff team. You're going to have the Celtics, you're going to have the Knicks, most likely you're going to have the Cavaliers with this James Harden addition and the 76ers. After that, I think those 6 to 8, 7 to 8, 9, 10 seeds, they're up for grabs by any team in the Eastern Conference. Now
Hmm.
you're going to have to worry a little bit about Indiana making a run back because they'll have Tyrese Halliburton, so you can add them to the mix. But after that, those spots are up for grabs. And I think when you add talent like Anthony Davis, to be paired with the Trey Young, with whoever they may get, if they're able to get a stud in the draft for this upcoming year with Alex Sarr, I think you have something cooking, right?
Yeah.
So that this good uh the future is bright for the Washington Wizards, right?
Hmm.
On the flip side, I don't think we have to spend too much time on the Dallas Mavericks when it comes to this trade, except for the fact that we have to say, look who they traded, who look who they traded Luka Doncic for, right? Because in essence, if you trade Luka Doncic last season in exchange for Anthony Davis and Max Christie, right? And then this season you trade Anthony Davis for what they got back for Anthony Davis. That's essentially who you traded Luka Doncic for.
Right. Yeah. It's
So
the final product of that trade.
of that trade. So when we're looking back at what was received, let's look back and read this again. Dallas Mavericks essentially traded Luka Doncic for Chris Middleton. I'm gonna read it again. Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Malachi Branham, Marvin Bagley, 2 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks, and Max Christie. That's who they essentially traded Luka Doncic for, which it's not good enough. It's not good
Absolutely
enough.
not.
It's not good enough. It's not good enough.
Absolutely not,
Those two
man.
first-round picks are not really necessarily going to be very good either. From a lot of the reports, they're probably going to be late first rounders, right?
Hmm.
So Nico was rightfully fired. He was rightfully
Absolutely.
fired. He
Now
was
it's
rightfully fired.
becoming clear, clear as day that
It's bad. That's bad.
whatever ill will that Nico Harrison had for Luca, it was 100% like just real, given the fact that he didn't. I don't even know if, well, maybe it was like in, I don't even want to say good faith, but maybe he felt like it was at the time a great
Well,
trade.
clearly he did. You don't make that trade if you didn't feel like it was a great trade. You
But
don't do that.
yeah, now I mean, who's their GM now in Dallas?
Oh, well, the GM, that's a good question. That's a good question. I'm not sure who the GM is now. Um, I just know that the owners, they had to make a decision earlier this season, right? When, especially with how, even though with the addition of Cooper Flagg, and we should spend some time on him a little bit. Even with the addition of Cooper Flagg, this team was losing games, and Anthony Davis this season just hasn't been available, which has come to be a regular occurrence in Anthony Davis's career, especially as he's aged. He's not playing a lot of games all the time. Like he's going to be
Yeah.
injured, he's going to be knickknacked, and yeah, this is basically what you got back for Luka Doncic. And if I was a Mavericks fan, I think I would be very depressed. Even with Cooper Flagg and how he's hooping, I would be pretty depressed about the state of our organization at this current point in time. Uh,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
it's you did all that work to rebuild again, right? It's like you made that, one of the craziest trades, if not the craziest, for basically nothing now in return, now that we're seeing kind of like the finalized product, like I said earlier. And now you're back in the same situation, even worse, in a worse state. So, I mean, the only glimmer of hope is, you got an aging Kyrie Irving coming back next year, which I think maybe people forget that they even have Kyrie because all this crazy stuff's
Yes.
happening. Because I did
Yes.
too. I just had to remind myself,
They do
like,
have Kyrie Irving. That I actually, yeah, Kyrie Irving has been out of sight, out of mind. You were
yeah.
absolutely right with that. You were absolutely right with
Um,
that.
but let's spend some time on Coop, bro, because I know we share the same sentiment with him. Like,
Listen, the biggest thing and we talked about this. Obviously, he's hooping. Like he's hooping, and I may have been wrong. I think we have earlier episodes, maybe before the season, where I
yeah,
wasn't as absolutely sure about how effective Coop would be to start. I knew he was a good
yeah,
player, but I didn't necessarily know how generational he would be to start. And he's proven he is indeed generational to the point where I don't know, like in terms of the rankings for, let's say, teenage
hmm
prospects, teenagers in their first year outside of LeBron
uh,
James,
yeah.
who really can you put over him?
Um, I mean, not nothing first year. Like, there's guys who made the jump their second year, but you know, I mean, I think just based off impact, it's just Coop and LeBron. Like, you'd be hard pressed to find another rookie. Like, I don't like I'm going back to like the mid to late 70s with Moses Malone. He was a highly touted recruit coming out of high school, but I don't even think he was. I could be wrong, but I
I
don't
mean,
think he was average.
Magic Johnson.
Was he a teenager?
That's the thing. Magic could have been 20 because Magic, I believe, did a year in college,
Yeah,
if
he
I'm not
did.
mistaken. But the thing with Coop is Coop reclassed in high school. So this is technically,
It's
this should have been Coop's college season because he reclassed a year up. So he's
right.
ahead of the game. So technically, for all intents and purposes, he kind of made the high school to NBA jump age. Like you get what I'm saying, age
Yeah,
wise.
no, yeah. He skipped
So
basically, yeah, advanced 1 year.
yeah, he advanced one
Which
year.
which makes it all the more impressive. And I'll be 100% with you and to everybody listening. Like, I was 100% wrong too. Like, I did not know offensively he was going to be this polished coming in. I had no idea. Just kind of off the sample size of his college career and even his high school career, like, he didn't give us a lot of like offensive bag, type of samples that where I was like, oh yeah, he's going to be his transition to the NBA is going to be
Seamless.
seamless. Yeah, and took the words right out of my mouth, bro. Like, he's so impressive, bro. I don't think I've never seen a white guy play like him before. I'm gonna
Bro,
say that. Like,
I'm gonna take you one step forward. I don't really know who to compare him to
I don't either,
because
bro. Like,
it's not even like a white guy thing. It's like I'm trying to think. No, I feel you because that's the easy comparison. Like, okay, so what white guy does he hoop like? Nobody, right? But I'm also
nobody,
trying to think
bro.
of a black guy, and I'm like, I really don't know because at his height, he's a legit 6'8", right?
Yeah,
At his height, his handle has improved this season, but I don't know. Like it's not necessarily like stringy. It's not a stringy handle, but it's just effective, right? So
it's effective.
it's kind of like he's Kawhi Leonard, but he's more fluid than Kawhi Leonard. And
Right.
I just want to read off some of these stat lines. His last 4 games, he played the Spurs. He had 32 and 6. The game before that, he played the Celtics, 36 and 9. The game before that, he played the Rockets, 34 and 12 rebounds. And when he played the Hornets, which was unbelievable, 49 and 10. And now I watched that Hornets game, and it was amazing to watch. First of all, him and Con Knuckles
Right.
went at it.
Yeah. Yeah, we
But
both watched that.
if I'm when I'm thinking about him, bro, one thing I will say that I'm most impressed by, like a super little detail, like his left hand finishing, yo, is like
Insane.
I'm gonna be real. Cooper Flagg's left hand layup package, his left hand layup, his comfortability making layups with his left hand
hmm
and exploding off of 2 feet. I don't think there's anyone in the NBA outside of maybe Kyrie Irving
hmm
that is more comfortable with laying the ball up with their left hand
I agree. I agree.
as their offhand.
Yeah, and part of me feels like maybe the time spent with Kyrie, he's been able to just absorb so much, which is a credit to his, basketball IQ and just his ability to learn on the spot. I think his left hand was God given for sure, but I
Yes.
think maybe spending 6 to 8 months already with Kyrie, he was able to maybe absorb so much knowledge to where he's like, all right, what I learned, I'm gonna put to physical practice right now. I'm gonna do it, and like on the fly. Maybe he's just so I don't want to give Kyrie the credit, but like just going back to how I didn't expect, him to be this good this quick. I don't know where it could come from that fast, other than he just had to be released. Like he just had to be like, here, let him go. Like let the
Well,
reins off him and just go.
they've let him
Like
go because in those stats that I named, bro, he shot over 20 field goal attempts in all of those games. So
hmm
he's shooting the ball. Like
Yeah.
he has the ever I can't even say the word. So the green light, what's the joint that's the extreme? Uh
Ultimate.
ultimate green light, but it's like a effervescent some I messed it up.
Oh, yeah,
You get what
yeah,
I'm saying? He has the
yeah.
greenest of green lights, right? Because he's shooting. I mean, the last game against the Spurs, he shot 27 times, right? So that's not even including when he got fouled. So he's putting up the attempts, he's getting the development that he needs, he's getting the minutes and allowed the green light to work through mistakes. And we're seeing his
hmm
development within this season. It's really incredible. And he's still a teenager. Like he's 19 years old. So it's
Insane.
incredible. When I see him drive to the basket, I we know as former hoopers how difficult it can be to get comfortable scoring with your offhand. When
hmm
I see him so fluidly drive to the basket with the left hand, explode off of 2 feet, and comfortably lay the ball up as if it is his right hand, which is his dominant hand, I'm like, wow. And doing it against 7 foot defenders, it's amazing. So Cooper Flagg, he's the real deal. He is a generational talent and we're gonna be happy to see him for the rest of the season. So yeah, bro, Cooper Flag, he's the real deal. Like I said,
hmm
um, he's definitely even exceeded certain expectations this season. I believe. Out of the most recent number one picks, where do you think he ranks? How do you think he stacks up against the most recent number one picks in NBA?
Man, I mean,
I mean, you're looking at him, Risa Shea from the Hawks,
yeah.
Wembanyama from the Spurs as the last 3 years, right?
I think probably the last 3 years it goes Vic, Coop, and then Risha Shea. If we go back 5 years now, we're looking at before Wembanyama, who was number one?
I believe we're looking at is it Paolo? Paolo
Okay.
was 1 year was Paolo. So yeah, Cooper Flag 2025, Risa Shea 2024, Vic in 2023, Paolo 2022, and then Cade Cunningham 2021. So rank real quick, bro. Rank those, right? Rank those. I think obviously we know Risa Shea is going to be last, right?
Right.
So and number one, who would you put out of that list? Would you put Victor Wembanyama?
I'm gonna go Vic. I'm gonna go Coop. Then I'm gonna go Cade, Paolo, Risha Shea.
I'm not mad at that at all. Obviously, Cooper Flag's not better than Cade Cunningham this particular season, but we're
Right.
projecting, right? Because
Right.
it's his rookie season. So
Yep.
that makes sense. I love that, bro. So to move on. So we got the trade deadline, which was a lot more exciting than I thought it would be.
hmm
More on that front, Giannis Antetokounmpo did not get traded. And so which means we will have to deal with this for the
I
rest of this
know.
particular season and in the summer, where there will be rumors about him being traded, rumors about him actually being happy and willing to work on things with the Bucks.
Yeah,
It's like we have to
it's
go through this for another few months.
they're playing with us, man. It feels like bait right now. Milwaukee's PR team is just trying to get engagement, but I'm tired of it. Like I wish they would have just parted ways and Giannis can go just somewhere else and just, finish out his storybook career. Well, maybe not finish out yet, but go somewhere where he can get another chip
Where he
potentially.
can compete, where he can
Yeah.
legitimately compete. He
Um,
cannot
and
compete with this Bucks team right now.
Yeah, instead of just dragging us all along this whole debacle, the last year or whatever it's been, 6, 7 months, um, I'm tired of it. Yeah, I'm ready just to be over, Giannis and the Bucks at this point. Um,
I'll say
yeah,
this, bro. With this particular trade deadline, I think a lot of fans were hoping for some positive resolutions
Right.
or conclusions for some older veteran superstars, right?
Hmm.
And I believe outside of James Harden, who got sent to a better situation for him to contend for a championship, when you have what has happened with Steph Curry and the trade that happened with the Warriors, they got Porzingis, they traded Kuminga
Yeah.
and some other people for in exchange for Kristaps Porzingis. That's not necessarily a move that necessarily moves the needle for the Warriors this season. When you see that Giannis Antetokounmpo did not get traded to anywhere so that he can compete for a championship this season, he didn't have any needle move for him. You look at Kawhi Leonard being stuck in purgatory with the Clippers for the remainder of this season. So it's a lot of guys that when you look at, you were hoping for a better situation for them this season, and it just didn't materialize. And it will be interesting to watch how they navigate the rest of this season on teams that really have no shot at competing for anything this season.
Hmm.
To move on, speaking of stars, superstars, let's talk about the All-Star reserves, bro. Uh, Give me your opinion about the All-Star reserves that were picked, and if you believe there were any snubs outside of the starter snubs that we spoke about last episode.
I do well. So they kind of righted their wrongs with it. You know who I'm already about to say, Kawhi Leonard. He was named, I guess, as that 16th reserve. I was very upset about that, but they righted their wrongs in the NBA and they made him a rightfully deserved All-Star reserve. But I do feel initially I thought Pascal in the East, was an all-star just given individual numbers. You brought to my attention how poorly Indiana is playing, which I don't know how I forgot about that. But I do think that there's a couple guys in the East that are more deserving than Pascal.
Okay.
Um,
Before you
who
continue
else?
out, let me just give the reserves for
Okay.
anyone that doesn't know. Eastern Conference reserves: Scotty Barnes, Jalen Duren, Jalen Johnson from the Atlanta Hawks,
Hmm.
Donovan Mitchell,
Hmm.
Norman Powell,
Hmm.
Pascal Siakam, Carl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, still definitely just Pascal in my opinion. Could be swapped out with a couple different guys. I think the casual NBA fan maybe would be like Norm Powell, but he's been balling for Miami, leading them in scoring. Numbers were a little down this month, but he's been balling. I think that over in Toronto, I think it might have been a toss-up between Ingram and Scotty Barnes, but I just think all around Scotty's doing way more for Toronto. Um, so yeah, I think, Pascal could be swapped out with like an MPJ. Um, like looking on it, I think Michael Porter Jr. deserved to be an All-Star for sure. Um, I think I would switch out them, in the
Michael
East.
Porter Jr.
That'd be my only change.
That would be my only critique. Right, right, right. And we spoke about a lot of this too as well. So, it should be a entertaining game. Like I'm along with you. I'm happy that Kawhi Leonard was selected. Right,
Hmm.
and we have to dispel this narrative when it comes to Kawhi Leonard. Let's dispel this narrative. The commissioner did not choose him because of the outrage or the uproar from NBA fans as far as him being snubbed initially. That's not
Hmm.
what happened. As you stated earlier, the new All Star format requires that there are 16 American players and eight international players, right? So, because of the numbers didn't shake out exactly that way for the 24 players, the NBA commissioner has the leeway to step in and add additional either American or international players. In this situation, he added Kawhi Leonard because they required a minimum of 16 American players to play in the game, right? So it's not because Kawhi was snubbed or he was not chosen because of the aspiration scandal or upcoming investigation. And so the NBA had to backtrack.
Hmm.
He chose the right candidate because it was required.
Hmm.
So just to put that out there. But yeah, I mean, this NBA season, it's been very interesting. Very, very interesting, bro. I think the trade deadline, excuse me, has shaken up a few things. I'm excited to see
Hmm.
just how well the Cleveland Cavaliers compete in the East now with James Harden. Is there any other observations you've seen this season that you would like to speak on, bro?
Recently, I think it was just last night or Thursday night, over in Houston, they
Ooh,
seem to be,
I knew you was going there.
yeah, they seem to be not crumbling, but I think that Şengün defensively is a real uh a real what's the word? Just potential hazard out there. Like I think that, and it wasn't as glaring his defensive abilities or lack of, I should say, until I really saw it on tape. You know, guys are really, really targeting him on the defensive end, and his own teammates seem to be like kind of getting a little like, hey, like play some damn defense. Um,
I mean, we saw a
and
clip. It was a clip, right, that was
it
going
was a
around. It was like
clip.
Kevin
Yeah,
Durant that was upset at Shingun
yeah.
for a mistake.
Yeah, a couple mistakes at that. And he didn't even see it looked like he was just very like lackadaisical in the defensive end. Which, you could say like, okay, well, you know, his offensive production on the other end kind of like cancels that out. But I mean, when you're getting deliberately targeted out there and you're just not doing anything about it and kind of not placing the blame on help side, but I saw a lot of him like his reactions after he would get scored on or just like driven by, like he's like, "Where's the help at?" or whatever. When his direct what's the word, like obligation to play defense, this wasn't even there. So I do get the frustration. I think that if you don't nip that in the bud, that's gonna definitely spell some problems for just guarding bigs, in the West. Come playoff time, like it's gonna be a different game plan if you
Well,
can't.
I think a big thing to note is they've lost Steven Adams for the season, right? So a lot of
Right.
that physicality defensively and even offensively in terms of offensive boards where they
Yeah.
were crushing teams this entire season, a
Yeah.
lot of that's going to be lost with the loss of Steven Adams, right? And I think that's going to be huge in the playoffs because now you're probably going to be playing a lot of Shingun at center by himself. And like you said, that's where a lot of defensive flaws can come in. He's
Hmm.
not necessarily an elite rim protector, right? So you're going to be able to drive it to the basket and score against him. And then he's also not necessarily a great post defender. So depending on who you have to match up with, whether it be Nikola Jokic in the playoffs, Victor Wembanyama in the playoffs, certain bigs they're gonna have some success against Shingun in that team. So I
Hmm.
agree with you, bro. What I'm noticing, and I've been a little surprised by with the Houston Rockets, is online, right? When I'm starting to see, I follow some Houston Rockets fans, content creators, guys who really have the pulse of the team. A lot of people, and again, I believe they're 8-2 in their last 10 games. So it's not necessarily anything that you have to panic about.
Hmm.
But a lot of people are a little sore or not as high on their young core as I would have thought, right?
Really?
And when I talk about young core, obviously I'm not talking about Kevin Durant. He's a 37-year-old superstar veteran.
Right.
But when you talk about Amin Thompson, Shingun,
Hmm.
Reed, right, and Jabari,
Hmm.
those four, along with maybe Tari Eason, who's having a good season.
Hmm.
I read one tweet where someone said every one of those players are fatally flawed. They
Mm.
have a fatal flaw. While some are good players, some are going to be great players, they're fatally flawed. So it's hard to build a team that can contend around this core.
I absolutely agree.
You
Thinking
agree?
about it, yeah, I do agree with that. Um, what's your take on that?
Well, I think the biggest player that we got to talk about because we spoke on Shagun. If you're describing someone as fatally flawed, the biggest person we have to talk about is Amin Thompson, right?
Right.
Because uh the let's just say this. A lot of hoop fans love Amin Thompson. I'm one of them, right? But there's some pushback even more recently in regards to he's not really a point guard, right? So the team's offense is going to struggle if you continue to keep him in a point guard role.
Hmm.
And then because he can't shoot on the wing or on the perimeter, you have to kind of keep him in the dunker spot and really allow him to be an athlete that can catch lobs, get offensive putbacks, cut to the basket off other drives, things of that sort. So how do you assess an Amin Thompson when he's very limited offensively from the perimeter?
Hmm.
How do you feel about uh Amin and how does he project this season and in these next couple of seasons? Well, like, how do you see him evolve as a player?
Yeah, it kind of feels like the system that they had planned going into the season with putting him at a point guard position. it's not working, and then they try to like on the fly, say like you said, get in the dunker's position to kind of be like this athletic 1 through 4 type of guy. And I think that's where you kind of insert like Reed Shepherd, where it's like, oh shit, our process and our system kind of isn't working how we thought. Now we're going to put Reed Shepherd in that position. Reed Shepherd doesn't really have a handle, and he struggles with pressure defensively when they're up in him, and can turn the ball over a lot when he gets in the air and tries to make these jump passes. So it's like the two ideas that you had at the point guard position, like you said, are fatally flawed, and with Amen Thompson kind of being the highest one on there. Um, it just kind of doesn't make sense what they're doing out there. But at the same time, like they don't have a whole lot of flexibility at that position. So it's like they're just trying to make do with what they have, and they are getting by. You said they're 8-2 in the last 10 games, but it's like, how much can they get by with doing this?
They have to rely on a
Like
lot of Kevin Durant, right? Like Kevin Durant has to,
yeah,
like they're relying a lot on Kevin Durant to create offense for them in the half court, right? In my experience watching the Rockets, when I watch their games, I like Şengün, right?
hmm
But a lot of times I notice when they throw the ball down to Şengün, he can he's not the same as Nikola, right? When Nikola catches the basketball in the post or when you run that pick and roll play with Nikola, it seems very smooth, right? It
hmm
seems very intentional, right?
hmm
When he catches the basketball, he gets double. He knows where the double is coming from. He knows who should receive the basketball and who's open, right? So it's
hmm
very smooth. If he
hmm
goes in the double, he knows exactly where he should go on the floor to get a shot attempt up. When I watch Şengün, sometimes I feel it's very sloppy, right?
hmm
It's very sloppy. It's very haphazard. You don't necessarily like
unorthodox,
unorthodox. You don't necessarily know. He's still effective at times, but sometimes you don't necessarily know what he's about to do. And when I
right?
watch when I watch them play, I can sense, and when I as a viewer, Kevin Durant's frustration sometimes with that.
hmm
Like you just don't know what Şengün's about to do with the basketball right now. Now he has some great games, right? He's a great player. He's an all-star
hmm
player,
hmm
level player, but it's not the same as like a Nikola Jokic where you can just feature him the entire way, right?
hmm
And I think that also comes to bite them at the end of games and in crunch time, where it's like you're running the offense through Şengün, but you need efficient plays run, and a lot of times he isn't able to do that,
hmm
right? So I say all that to say this: I'm still high on their young core. I think, I just think the Kevin Durant arrival sped up sped up their process, right? Because they're
hmm
winning games. So now there's expectations on this team, even
That's a
though
good
they're
point.
still fairly young,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah.
So their growing pains are going to be looked at a little differently because you have a 37-year-old Kevin Durant on the team. He doesn't
hmm
have as much time to wait for y'all.
hmm
So it's going to be interesting to see. I
That's a
don't
good
think
point.
they're not a championship contending team in my opinion this year. I think a good season for them will be, if they can make a run possibly to the Western Conference Finals.
hmm No, I agree. That's spot on.
But yeah, man. So we shall see, man. I say all this to say, I think this has been a great episode, bro. I
For
think the
sure.
trade deadline was explosive. I'm excited to watch some basketball this upcoming week and
hmm
really lock in on specific teams. But yeah, bro, another good episode 11, I believe. If it's not, I'll edit this out. But episode 11 of the Hoop Fans podcast is your boy K Rose,
It's your boy Matt signing
and we
off.
out. We out. We out.